Hey guys, good morning. Vice President Kamala Harris was pressed on polling that shows the majority of voters believe the country is on the wrong track during her first sit-down interview with Fox News.
Then 70% of people tell the country is on the wrong track. Why are they saying that? If you're turning the page, you've been in office for 3.5 years.
And Donald Trump has been running for office.
But you've been the person holding the office.
Come on.
Madam
You
Vice
and I
President.
both know what I'm talking about. You and I both know what I'm talking about.
I actually don't. What are you talking about?
What I'm talking about is that over the last decade,
but
people
you're the
have
lever of
become...
power.
Brett Baer says he had to abruptly stop the interview after the vice president's team was telling him to wrap it up.
There are critics who look at what the administration did and say and think differently. Madam Vice President, they're wrapping me very hard here. I hope you got to say what you wanted to say about Donald Trump. There are a lot of things.
There's more to say. I have much more to say.
Dana, you've been on the other side. You've been on the rapper as a press secretary interviewing a president. And, you know, I'm talking like 4 people waving their hands like it's got to stop. I had to dismount there at the end.
But before the interview was cut off, Harris was pressed on the border as a new Fox News poll finds that immigration is still one of the top issues this election.
We recognized from day one that to the point of this being your first question, it is a priority for us as a nation and for the American people. And our focus has been on fixing a problem. And from day one, then, we have done a number of things, including to address our asylum system and put more resources.
New Fox News polls also show voters prefer former President Donald Trump to handle this immigration issue over Harris by 15 points. Meanwhile, Trump slammed the Biden-Harris administration's border policies at a Univision town hall. Watch.
We're going to turn it around, but we want people to come in, but we don't want murderers. So it was just announced that last month by the Border Patrol that under Biden and Harris, they allowed 13,099 convicted murderers, people in jail, to come into our country. They released them from jail into our population. And nobody wants that. And we're going to make it so that people can come into our country legally.
Overall, the new Fox News polls show Trump has a 2-point lead over Harris nationally. Harris will be campaigning in Wisconsin today while Trump speaks at the Al Smith dinner in New York. Guys.
Yeah, wow, what an interview Brett conducted there. The first question right off the bat, how many illegal immigrants would you say the administration allowed to enter the country?
And she didn't answer.
She didn't answer. And then he said, well, it's 6 million and some of them committed heinous crimes. So we're going to get to all the highlights. There are many of them in reaction as well.
I also thought we were going to get more than like 2 seconds to sort of gather ourselves before the interview. It was like, I'm going to ease into this. Nope, not going to ease in. Let's watch.
Special report.
What the hell are you doing? I'm kicking my ass! Do you mind?
There's a lot I could say, but I don't know if it matters now. You always did everything the way you wanted it.
That's a really good one, Jerry. Was like, Sylvester Stallone at the very end of it coming. I'm kicking my ass. This is Kamala Harris. Last night in the Fox News interview that we aired live, and just, it was so special. There have been so many special moments in this election that we're just so happy to have experienced live, and that there are no rules, right? The train has completely broken the brake, the lever that's the brake that snapped off. There's no rules this election. It's all gone haywire. It's incredible. The wheels are melting down. The track's carrying all of us right into the Grand Canyon, and it's so entertaining. It's great. When Elon's razor exists, the most entertaining outcome is the most likely. That is certainly true today, Thursday, October 17th, 2024, 19 days before the election. 19 days, baby. We are so happy to be back in the studio. We're so happy to be here winning, ladies and gentlemen. We're going to talk to you about winning this morning and what that actually looks like. A lot of people saying that things have gone quite bad for Kamala Harris, and we're going to prove it this morning, starting with Fox News demolishing Kamala's campaign. There's no cope. There's no cope and seethe over this. There is no way to reverse engineer this interview, which is the single worst interview any president has ever done in presidential history. It is completely undone the campaign and the entire facade of Kamala Harris. We got to look at it holistically, and we're going to do that this morning. Polls and betting odds continue to tank Kamala Harris. Jack Posobiec and Julie Kelly join the show. My name is Benny Johnson, and this is The Benny Show. We were out of the studio for a week that was excruciating because there was just so much to do. I grew a gross depression beard during that week. I do not grow good beards. It's not a great look. It's all gone now, though. It's all gone. We've turned the page, as Kamala would say. We've turned the page, and we are back in the studio. The family's safe. There's some gas here in Tampa. There's groceries. There's electricity. The state of Florida has done an amazing job. Just shout out to my boy, Ron DeSantis. Well done. One of the best governors in the country, arguably the best Republican governor of my lifetime. Doing amazing work here. Early voting starts so soon here in the state of Florida, and we're just pumped to be all a part of it. So we are back in action, baby. Our first morning show back after the week. We're thankful for our partners at Patriot Mobile for keeping us online. Patriot Mobile travels with us everywhere that we go. We've been telling you about them. RNC convention, DNC convention. We've gone all over the country. We filmed Benny on the Blocks from coast to coast this election season. But I'll tell you what, man. And we're going to Madison Square Garden. It's going to be awesome. We weren't planning on evacuating a hurricane, but Patriot Mobile travels with us there. That's because Patriot Mobile is just an incredible company. They are available on all three major networks. They keep us locked and loaded so that we can fight the communists and can do so from very interesting locations. Will we be going to a Kamala rally? Killer Klein. We going to a Kamala rally this weekend? Killer Klein. We going to do it? I think we'll do it. I think we'll go to a Kamala rally. We're going to troll at a Kamala rally. We're going to go to a Kamala rally. we're back, and we are cooking just in time for Halloween. We got some spooky season for Kamala. Patriot Mobile will travel with us everywhere. Go to patriotmobile.com/Benny 972-Patriot. Right now, get a free month when you use the code Benny. patriotmobile.com/Benny. Call 972-Patriot. Free month, ladies and gentlemen. Okay. I got a meme to share with you this morning. And I want to hop right into it. Oh, I loaded the wrong thing. Not to put anyone on a panic. I got you, Klein. Don't you worry. Just this. Don't you worry. Don't you turn into the meme yourself. Okay, we're not going to be the meme. Can everyone just do this with me? Can we all do this together as a movement? Is that panic I smell? Can you smell the crisp fall leaves crunching underneath your feet? The crisp air, even here in Tampa, wasn't it great? Killer Klein's wearing a hoodie. The entire team's wearing hoodies and jackets now. Fresh fall air. F. Scott Fitzgerald, paraphrasing The Great Gatsby. Everything is new in the fall. Everything is new once you feel that fresh autumn air rolling through. Look at my boy. Donald Trump on the White House lawn in the fall. Is that panic I smell? Yes. Yes, ladies and gentlemen, it's panic. Look at this. We don't talk enough about this. This is not an NFL game. This is not a Taylor Swift concert. This is President Trump in Georgia, in Atlanta, 24 hours ago. Look at this shot. They won't show you this on your TV screens, okay? They won't show you this. Look at that. 3 levels of pure patriotic glory, man, dude. And the reason that there is panic is because there is total and complete collapse. Look at this. This is live right now, Polymarket. 38% chance. This is the smart money. These are the money and betting odds against Kamala Harris. There have been billions invested in this election. Donald Trump up 62%. One of the smartest hedge fund managers and the geniuses of Wall Street. I sent that tweet this morning saying all Wall Street now assumes Trump's going to win. All the money's on Trump. All the money's on Trump. If you guys can grab that. I sent that in the chat this morning. I'm not sure if we have it actually locked and loaded. One of the smartest investors in the country is like dropping the. I think I got it here. Dropping the news that all smart money is now backing Trump. Ooh, baby. Got some very, very, very scary things happening in the Kamala campaign. But most importantly, the love and the joy is gone. Now, this is all before the Fox News debate, which, of course, we covered last night, and we had like a great time doing it. And we thank you for watching. You have members of Congress. We don't need to play this clip, but it's on our social media. You have members of Congress that are straight up saying, this is a Michigan Senate candidate, I'm not going to campaign with Kamala. It's the same thing they did with Biden. Do you remember this at the very end? She's named Alyssa Slotkin. Okay. So his moonface over here is like, I'm not gonna campaign with Kamala Harris. I refuse. She's dragging down the ticket. She's dragging us down. Saying that she is not really excited when Kamala Harris comes to Michigan. Speaking of the Rust Belt, Kamala Harris pulling her ads from Milwaukee. The great Jamie, who works on our team, graphic designer extraordinaire, she lives in Milwaukee. Uh-oh. That's where the RNC convention was. We liked Milwaukee. We had a good time in Milwaukee. But like the Kamala, this is the only market that like Kamala can try and like juice votes out of, right? In Wisconsin, because the entire rest of the state effectively is red, except for Madison. And they're pulling because they're like, we're losing Pennsylvania. We're losing Philadelphia. Man, we got the amazing Ashley lives in Philadelphia. We have people in both cities. Okay, all right, there you go. We're doing our part. I'm doing my part. We are funding the careers of Republicans in dark blue areas. Okay, Pennsylvania, Philadelphia, Milwaukee, Wisconsin. We out here. All right, Team Benny is everywhere. Philadelphia, they're redirecting their resources because they believe that the campaign is deeply concerned about turnout margins there. It's happening. Look at this. Look at this. Trump winning. Trump tied with Hispanic men. The entire job for the Democrats over the last 3 decades has been to import new voters, asymmetrically from Latin American countries. And now Trump's winning them. You weren't supposed to import the Republican voters. It's amazing. It's all backfiring. Kamala Harris, now this is before we get to Brett Baier. Kamala Harris goes on sycophantic North Korean. You ever seen the North Korea news broadcasts with the lady wearing like the traditional North Korea outfit with like her little papers? And she's like, dear leader is so great. We love Kim Jong-un. You ever see that? And they're like reading off like, we've never seen greater potato crops. Our production of potatoes is so strong. It's never been so strong. This is like the kind of media that Kamala Harris has done. She's done North Korean style media where Kamala Harris just sits down on Charlemagne the God's channel, right? Charlemagne the God. He's he's not MAGA. He might not like Joe Biden that much. He might be a critic, but either way, he's a Democrat. He's an activist. He's a left-wing activist. Kamala Harris has done these interviews, and she's getting ratioed on left-wing media. On left-wing media, Kamala Harris is getting destroyed into the sun. She goes on North Korean media for her side, and she's getting nuked. Look at that ratio. That's like a Snow White trailer, live action. Rachel Ziegler. Disney Snow White live action trailer ratio. That's like a new Star Wars product ratio. Pop that up. That's good. Here. This is Charlemagne's interview. Charlemagne's interview with Kamala Harris. Who won the day? Harris. It goes to a greater point, though. The greater point is this. We were talking about this morning, actually, on our production call. That Kamala's team, like, it was like watching, you ever heard a story of those Japanese soldiers that didn't know the war was over? And they stood on their little islands and they had their firearm. They stood their firearms right, like ready, like at the islands. I know. I'm not. I know. It's too easy. They stood. The Japanese soldiers had to be told like 20, 30 years later that the war was over. But they didn't live in reality. The entire world had changed and collapsed around them, and they were stuck. This was Kamala Harris during the Fox News interview. She had been so insulated by her team from the reality of the country hating her and her policies that there's 80% of the country thinks that the entire Titanic of her administration, Hindenburg, bottom of the ocean. No one is happy with what happened with Kamala Harris. No one's glad that Kamala Harris was vice president and making these decisions while she shoves Joe Biden, wheelchair, into the volcano. No one thinks this has been going well. And Kamala Harris, for the first time last night, was confronted with reality. She's the Japanese soldier that doesn't know the war was over. She's been so insulated on her private island, their private little Epstein Island, that they live inside this microcosm, tapeworm thin microcosm of media bilge and propaganda, North Korean style. Oh, it's worse. Oh, wow, it's worse. The update's even worse. Look at that. 14,000 likes to 41,000 dislikes. Hey, chat, what do you think about that, chat? That a ratio, chat? What do you think, chat? Whoo, baby, we've never been ratioed like that. That's Charlemagne getting ratioed on his own channel. So North Korean propaganda. This is why it was so devastating last night. I want to set this all up because we want to talk about the debate. But we want to set it all up. The collapse is real. There's so much data pointing to the actual collapse. Look at this, even from NPR. From NPR, talk about literal government propaganda. This is it. Government-funded propaganda. NPR. Trump once again appears to be in the driver's seat in this presidential election, leading in the swing states. Wow. Kamala Harris's team and the Democrat corporate establishment so disserves their candidates by hermetically sealing them inside of this ecosystem where they never face criticisms. They never have to see what the outside world really is. Truman Show level lockdown of the candidate. And that's what happened last night. What you saw last night was the first time that the Japanese commander comes back and says, no, the war's over, dude. You got to come home. Stop standing your post on this little island. Kamala Harris realizing that way more than half the country hates her policies, and having someone just straight up, like Brett Baier, straight up say, yo, you're done here. And now this is what's reflecting. Like, now the actual reality is breaking through. And it's nasty. I mean, it's really tough to watch. Kamala Harris last night has proved that she has no emotional intelligence. She has no EQ. She has no capacity to absorb an attack, to absorb criticism, to let it wash over you like leaders must do, to realize that as a leader, you're going to be a punching bag, and you've got to be able to accept defeats, accept challenges, accept the consequences of your own actions, and to move forward in a way that moves the ball, right? That doesn't fumble the ball, that moves the ball down the field. You have to be able to be under control. You have to be able to be precise. You have to be able to attack problems. Kamala Harris did none of it. Kamala Harris was physically shaking. Her voice was quivering. Her finger was wagging. She yelled at Brett Baier in multiple instances. She lost her cool. Her team was flailing their arms about, trying to stop the interview, trying to throw in the towel. And all Brett Baier did last night was just ask her to defend her own record. It is the indefensible. It was the moment of reality hitting. And expect the polls to collapse even further as Americans saw the frenetic, perhaps drunk, certainly over-medicated, hysterical which is the only way to describe Kamala Harris in this clip. I mean, we have the clip. Here's a great clip of her like melting down on Brett Baier. Like there's one clip that just personifies all of this. It's like 20-second clip. Her just like melting down on Brett Baier. This is what a hysterical person looks like who is incapable of absorbing even the slightest responsibility for her actions. And I want to begin by saying, I want to say it one more time. We DM'd Brett Baier last night and saying this. He follows us on X. The guy's pretty based. He's like actually like retweets and follows us, like likes our posts and stuff on X. I mean, it's like ALX this morning on our production call, based Brett Baier. We start calling him, we have based Brooke, this based Brett. But all he did last night, remember, Trump goes into an interview and the first question is, why are you a racist? Why are you Hitler? Brett Baier didn't do any of that, right? Like that's what Trump has to face every single adversarial interview. All Brett Baier did was say, you've literally said this thing. This is literally the policies you've put forward. Like, why? Have Kamala Harris answer for her own decisions and her own words. That's it. Every single question, whether it's the border, whether it's transgender surgeries for prisoners, whether it's Kamala Harris's choices as like vice president or to hide what Joe Biden's done, all of it was fact-based and completely based 100% on Kamala's own actions and words that were regularly played for her. And Kamala's reaction to reality, this woman's reaction to being held accountable for her actions and her decisions, was to hysterically fly off the handle and start physically threatening Brett Baier. This woman's a lunatic. She's a sociopath. Made evident by this simple clip. Here you go. It's all you need to see.
Talked about locking people up because they disagree with him. This is a democracy. And in a democracy, the president of the United States, in the United States of America, should be willing to be able to handle criticism without saying he'd lock people up for doing it.
What is that? Okay. What's wrong with you, lady? Chill out. First off, chill out. Okay. We get excited on the show. We also laugh at the show. We do memes on the show. We roll. We roll with it. Like it's loose, We have people that come on that disagree with us. We have people that come on, they do interviews with them. Like you rock, you roll. Sometimes I don't agree with what's going on. Sometimes I'm in deep disagreement with some of our guests. Like you don't freak out. Like, you can have passions. You can have passions without having low EQ, right? So think about the way that Trump responds to these things. ALX, can you grab me that clip of that ABC News journalist who was interviewing Trump at the National Black Association of Journalists? And the difference in the response is all you need to see. Trump goes on to these interviews. He did one yesterday with Bloomberg where the guy was just like hammering him and just personal attacks. Trump goes out on stage for the National Association of Black Journalists, and the first thing the lady does is goes, "You're a racist!" Screams at him. And Trump's response is so opposite of Kamala Harris losing her mind. Trump's response, like, you're nasty. Why are you being so mean to me? Why don't you just say hi? We're here to like have a calm conversation. We're here to like chill. We're at a conversation. Every step of the way in this only 20-minute interview, Kamala Harris was late for the interview. It was supposed to take a long time. It was supposed to be much longer. Kamala Harris, every single second of the interview, Kamala Harris was snipey, vengeful, mean, talking over Brett Baier, incapable of like letting him finish a question, aggressive, pointing his finger, yelling. Watch the difference of what happens when Donald Trump faces a much nastier question, a much like more vengeful, vicious, and venomous form of questioning. The difference will show you everything. Okay, here we go.
I want to start by addressing the elephant in the room, sir. A lot of people did not think it was appropriate for you to be here today. You have pushed false claims about some of your rivals, from Nikki Haley to former President Barack Obama, saying that they were not born in the United States, which is not true. You have told 4 congresswomen of color who were American citizens to go back to where they came from. You have used words like animal and rabbit to describe black district attorneys. You've attacked black journalists, calling them a loser, saying the questions that they ask are, quote, stupid and racist. You've had dinner with a white supremacist at your Mar-a-Lago resort. So my question, sir, now that you are asking black supporters to vote for you, why should black voters trust you after you have used language like that?
Well, first of all, I don't think I've ever been asked a question so in such a horrible manner. First question. You don't even say, hello, how are you? Are you with ABC? Because I think they're a fake news network, a terrible network. And I think it's disgraceful that I came here in good spirit. I love the black population of this country. I've done so much for the black population of this country, including employment, including opportunity zones with Senator Tim Scott of South Carolina, which is one of the greatest programs ever for black workers and black entrepreneurs. I've done so much, and you know, and I say this, historically black colleges and universities were out of money, they were stone cold broke, and I saved them, and I gave them long-term financing, and nobody else was doing it. I think it's a very rude introduction. I don't know exactly why you would do something like that. And let me go a step further. I was invited here, and I was told my opponent, whether it was Biden or Kamala, I was told my opponent was going to be here. It turned out my opponent isn't here. You invited me under false pretense. And then you said, you can't do it with Zoom. Well, you know, where's Zoom? She's going to do it with Zoom, and she's not coming. And then you were half an hour late, just so we understand. I have too much respect for you to be late. They couldn't get their equipment working or something was wrong.
Mr. President, I would love if you can answer the question on your rhetoric and why you believe
I have
that
answered
black
the
voters
question.
should trust you with another 4
I have
years.
been the best president for the black population since Abraham Lincoln. That's my answer.
Better than President Johnson, who signed the Voting Rights Act.
And for you to start off a question.
Guys, it's the difference. It's perfect. It's just, we typically don't let like a 2-minute clip play on the show. We like to keep things short and move along. But it's just a masterclass. By the way, imagine if Brett Baier had started his interview with Kamala Harris by saying, you called Joe Biden a vicious racist who didn't want you to go to school because of your skin color. Why would you work for such a racist? Kamala Harris would have short-circuited. Now, that's a fair question to ask. Imagine the most vengeful question you could ask Kamala Harris. Kamala, are you proud of being the #1 child human smuggler on earth? Go. You could go there with Kamala. You'd have a right to go there with Kamala. Imagine if they tried the tactic of that, right? So that's the most steeped in venom question you could go at Trump with. And what would happen with it? We already saw Kamala Harris come totally unhinged, totally unglued during this interview with Brett Baier. With Brett Baier asking these very kindly, fatherly, Brett Baier is a father, husband, great dude, asking these kindly questions that were just that were just having her answer for her decisions. Imagine if Brett Baier had gone full on. What would you have seen? They did it to Trump, and they do it to Trump regularly. And what you see with Trump is Trump's you don't say hello? Yeah, I don't even get a hello. Well, I think you're fake news. And then the whole audience, the entire audience laughs at her. It's genius. Same thing with Megyn Kelly. You've called women fat pigs, slobs. Only Rosie O'Donnell. The whole audience turns and laughs at Megyn Kelly, and then Donald Trump is able to reframe the entire question. So Donald Trump's able to reframe everything. That's a master at work. It's the opposite of what we saw last night. We did see something last night, though, that's pretty special. That Kamala Harris is not actually running for president. Kamala Harris is simply running as, I'm not Trump. I'm not Trump. Every answer was Kamala Harris going back to Trump. And somebody made a supercut, actually. And this sums it up perfectly. Every single answer for Kamala Harris last night was Trump, no, Trump, 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 Trump. There's one time, humiliatingly, that Kamala, like that Bret Baier's like, everyone hates you. 80% of the country doesn't like you. You've effed it up. And Kamala says, and I'm actually quoting here. This is an actual quote. We have the clip. We have a clip? Okay. It's an actual quote. Kamala Harris goes, Trump's been running for office. That's it. That's her response to 80% of the country hates you. That's a meltdown. Do we have that clip? That's a meltdown. ALX, give me the ALX, shout it out, baby. Here we go. Here's Kamala Harris name dropping Trump again and again and again. Let's go.
Democrats voted.
Donald Trump, 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 and Donald Trump, Donald Trump.
President Biden had a fundraiser debate stage.
Let's go back to Donald Trump, Donald Trump, Donald Trump, Donald Trump.
Donald Trump doesn't say Kamala's name like ever, really. Like in passing. He talks about what he's going to do or defends himself. Like Kamala Harris, like, she literally can't breathe without saying the name Donald Trump. Here we go. Bret Baier puts up on screen, everyone hates you. Here's the poll, lady. Everyone hates you and your policies. Okay? Not a racist thing, not a sexist thing. We hate the results of your policies. And Kamala Harris, when faced with this, goes, but Donald Trump's been running for office. Here we go.
Frankly, exhausted of Bret.
More than 70% of people tell the country is on the wrong track. They say the country is on the wrong track. If it's on the wrong track, that track follows 3.5 years of you being vice president and President Biden being president. That is what they're saying, 79% of them. Why are they saying that? If you're turning the page, you've been in office for 3.5 years.
And Donald Trump has been running for office.
But you've been the person holding the office.
Come on.
Madam Vice President.
You and I both know what I'm talking about. You and I both know what I'm talking about.
I actually don't. What are you talking about?
What I'm talking about is that over the last decade,
people have become.
But listen, over the last decade, it is clear to me, and certainly the Republicans who are on stage with me.
So if you view politics through regime versus people, then what you'll see is that the regime has been in charge for my entire life. Clinton, Bush, they're the same family. Bush, Obamas, they're the same family, run by the same people, mastered by the same people, operated Muppets. So for my life, 32 years of it has been under the same regime. 32 years. There's been 4 years of Trump, which you could say was just like the beginnings of like prying away the power, just the beginnings. And they're trying to blame all of it on Trump. Kamala Harris is trying to say, because Trump ran for office, that all of the country's problems are his. Again, our theory on this show that is proven more true by the moment is that no one is running against Trump. No one is voting for Kamala Harris. There are just people who hate Trump and people who love Trump. That's what the election's about. How many Trump fans are there versus how many people have full-blown terminal TDS? That's it. It's really like a question of propaganda. It's really a North Korean question of propaganda. How much power does this lady have? Put that on. How much power does that lady have? This is like, can we defeat that? That's what we're up against. There you go. Okay, great. Kamala Harris faced with the mother of a daughter who had her child slaughtered because of Kamala Harris. There's no other way to say this. This mother lost her daughter because of criminal aliens that Kamala let into the country, and Kamala's response tells you everything. Go.
And this election in 20 days will determine whether we have a president of the United States who actually cares more about fixing a problem, even if it is not to their political advantage in an election, because there was a solution, Brett.
Madam Vice President, it was a policy decision in the early part of your administration. I will let one of the mothers talk about it. Take a listen.
Because of the Biden-Harris administration open border policies catch and release, they were enrolled in the Alternatives to Detention program. This meant that they were released into the United States. It was not even a full 3 weeks later that they would take my daughter, Jocelyn Nungare's life. I believe the Biden-Harris administration open border policies are responsible for the death of my daughter.
That's the early days. So do you owe them an apology is what I'm saying.
I will tell you that I am so sorry for her loss. I am so sorry for her loss. Sincerely. But let's talk about what is happening right now with an individual who does not want to participate in solutions. Let's talk about that as well.
But do you want to answer
in all fairness, I told you, I feel awful for what she and her family have experienced.
During that time.
You got a wife? You got a girlfriend? Let me give you a little bit of advice, homies. If something bad happens and it's your fault, don't say, I'm sorry, but. That's what Kamala just said. Did you hear it? Did you hear it? I'm really sorry for a loss, but. That's in the transcript. She just said it. I can play the clip all day. Go find it on my social media. Go find it. Go find it. The Trump team just posted the whole interview as an ad. As soon as this interview is done, the Trump team clipped it all and put it up as an ad. You can go watch it there. Kamala Harris says, when you F up in your relationship, something bad, you do something bad or dumb, the way to make it worse is to say, yeah, messed up, but, have you thought about how you messed up, honey? You want to sleep on the couch? You want to sleep in the garage? You want to be kicked out of that? You want something bad to happen in your relationship? Try that. Try that move. That's what Kamala Harris just said to the mother whose daughter was killed by a criminal alien that she let into the country. That's her response. You're a sick puppy. You're a very sick person. You are a sick person. Man. They're eating the dogs. They're eating the cats. They're eating the pets of the people who live there. All right. I wish Brett Baird brought that one up. Maybe we'll talk about that with Jack Posobiec, who has the #1 trending Twitter trend on Earth right now, dead naming Twitter. Kamala train wreck. Jack's joining the show to break this Kamala train wreck on down for us. Let's go. Jack, what up, homie? Okay, so congratulations on another #1 trend. I think on your wall of trappings, this has got to be like the 400th. I'm so proud of you. Kamala train wreck is #1 on Earth. Put it up, boys.
Thank you, Ben. I can't take full credit. Cat Turd, obviously, kind of got this one going, and then I came in on top when, it went straight to #1. And I think, honestly, though, the biggest credit of all goes to Kamala Harris herself for being the train wreck in front of the entire nation. By the way, Benny, I don't know if you've watched much of the CNN coverage of this, though. And if you look at what the other side is saying about this interview, it's remarkable, but it's not surprising. And I'll explain why. It's remarkable that they're just lying. They're saying she's tough. They're saying that she spoke truth to power. She delivered facts and figures that the Fox News conservative Trump-loving audience doesn't usually hear. And I'm looking at it going, wait a minute. Oh, you guys live in like this little North Korea propaganda bubble that you think that we don't. No, we watch you guys more than you do. We watch CNN and MSNBC and Kamala Harris and all. We've seen all the clips. We've seen all the shows. We monitor it like a hawk. You're the ones who refuse to watch our side, or when you do, you kind of they describe us, Benny, like you and I, they describe us like we're like zoo creatures or something. And they're sort of examining the way that we operate and the way that we talk. Look at what they're saying now, but look at what they're doing. Look at the way that they're interacting in their herd mentality or something, as if we're some kind of some kind of specimen in a laboratory. But with this situation, I think any honest person, and this really does show the X difference, is that when people were just watching these clips taken in their totality, and X, by the way, does not have a bias, right? This is not a platform where one side gets banned and one side gets amplified. No, it's a side where everybody is able to be there and everyone's able to interact freely with content routinely. And it's not something where anyone is ever, you're not going to hear Elon saying, oh, this person should be banned. It's just not what X is all about. And so when you see people responding this way, it's because they're responding to the things that Kamala Harris is doing in that interview. And, I know we mentioned, and you were mentioning the sort of gender breakdown and some of the race there, but, to the fellas out there, remember, this interview was supposed to be designed to help her pick up the male vote. Yeah. And guys, is that someone that you want bossing you around for the next 4 to 8 years when she can't even get through a 25-minute interview without a full-on hysterical meltdown? And that's what it was. She was snapping. She was angry. The body language was off the charts, pulling her lips back, snarling at certain points, jabbing her finger around. And you can see it again and again. Just I see one of the tweets you have up. Oh, this was, very, tendational. And look at some of these tweets.
Brett didn't realize he was dealing with the boss. Kamala crushed it. It's like a check. The cope has reached, the meter's broken. The little needle, it snapped last night.
Yeah, it broke off.
Yeah, it really did. It really did. I'm so proud. I'm so proud of my friend. So proud of her for not taking any shit.
That's a senator.
Telling truth. This is bad, man, bro. I've never seen the cope so bad. I don't know. I don't know what they were watching, but you're right. Yeah, it's such a great point. Right. So the elections are about addition, not subtraction. They're trying to pick up men desperately, and nobody wants to be led by Nurse Ratched. Nurse Ratched is an iconoclast because of the mendacity and the hysterics, the cruelty, and the oppression, right, that she represents inside of One Flew Over the Cuckoo's Nest. And it's like Kamala Harris showed last night that she has total cruelty and a lack of any capacity to and this is going to really be tough for the dudes out there, total inability to take responsibility for her actions, right? This is a bad behavior, man or woman. This is the worst possible behavior you can have as a leader. And I think that's my major takeaway, Jack, is why we played the number of times she's talked about Donald Trump and how when pressed about true data about how many people don't like her presidency, she's like, well, Trump's been running for office. It is the most repulsive trait to have as a leader is the inability to take any responsibility for the decisions you've made. And that was every question. That was the call and repeat for every single question last night. And dudes who sort of function, good men who build their lives around taking responsibility and build success off of taking responsibility and taking ownership are going to be really turned off by that, I think.
No, I think so. Actually, the movie reference that I was making last night, very similar to Nurse Ratched, but it's actually Norman Bates from Psycho. And in Norman Bates in Psycho, it's the whole, it's plot twist. I know it came out in 1960, but plot twist, his mother is actually dead and he's the one committing the murders, but he thinks his mother is alive and he blames everything that's happening on his mother. So it's like we have to get Donald Trump out of office. We can't let Donald Trump stay in office. And Brett Baer's sitting there going, but but he's not in office. Like, he's the psychologist trying to talk to Norman, but he's not in office.
Is he in the room with us now?
Your mother
Where is
dead.
Trump right now?
Your mother actually died. You killed your mother all those years ago. You poisoned her, Norman. No, mother's making me do this. She's the one killing everyone. Don't you see? She's the one who stabbed all those hitchhikers and travelers in the motel. And Brett is just sitting there like, yeah, he's not in office. You're the one in office. You're the one holding the bloody knife. You're the one who did all these things. It's not Donald Trump. It's not Trump supporters. You are the one. So can you just take some level of accountability for the things that you have done? And she goes, well, yes, a leader. She said it. She actually says it when talking about Trump. She says, well, I think that a leader should take responsibility for all the things that happened during their administration. And I'm like, I completely agree. So will you? No, those are Trump's faults. And it's amazing, but the pathology does actually exist. You're seeing someone who's in complete denial. And if you've seen Norman Bates in the Great Psycho movies, you would see this specifically. He's the murderer, but he thinks he's not.
So I think that there is a very interesting dynamic at play here, where you're looking at someone who has been hermetically sealed and protected from reality, and that reality, whether you like it or not, is that the vast majority of the country doesn't like you and doesn't like your policies. And the way that you begin to attack that or work around that and with that truth is you do confrontational interviews. You talk to people who don't agree with you. You are able to like reach across the aisle, as they normally say, and to do the sort of the old the grip and grin, right, in politics. Kamala does none of this, and I think that that's what's so devastating about this. She's done 0 adversarial interviews, and that's why this was such a nightmare. And it couldn't happen at a worse time for her in the middle of the Kamala collapse-tober.
No, so and obviously, the clear comparison here being that she's a vice president is the vice presidential candidate J.D. Vance, who really has made his name doing adversarial interviews. And you watch these things, he's always jovial, he's funny, he's affable, he laughs. Where he laughs and smiles when he gets one of these adversarial questions, and he says, "Oh no, let me tell you what's really going on." And then he
do you hear yourself, Martha? Do you hear yourself, Martha?
You hear yourself, and he makes it a joke, and he always treats them with respect. But at the same time, he comes in and actually, even if you go back to the debate when he had the CBP1 app, where he did actually get a little flustered. I'll give him credit. I'll give credit there. He did get a little flustered because they kept trying to talk over him when he was simply trying to explain how the app that Kamala Harris's administration has put out. So what JD Vance has are facts on his side, and he has this affable, it really is that just sort of Appalachian attitude where I'm not going to attack you, but brother, I am going to set you straight. And that's what he's doing versus Kamala Harris, who does make it personal, saying his name, Brett over again, as she does in the interview, and just has a complete meltdown. Again, the fact that she hasn't been doing interviews like this, and Tim Walz hasn't been doing interviews like this, it really goes to show you just how strong J.D. Vance, and by the way, pretty much like any conservative who's in the space, right? So we have to live like this every single day. Like every single, I know, Betty, you deal with it more than I do, I'm sure. It's like every single tweet, every single post on Instagram gets fact-checked and pushed back on. I posted like a Scarface meme the other day, and Instagram fact-checked it. They're like, fact-check, Scarface did not actually say this in the movie. like, yeah, I know, it's a meme. I wrote like, update, this is a meme, and no, everyone who likes it knows that Scarface did it. But again, when you're a conservative, you just live like this. You just operate like this. But to your point, she is hermetically sealed. The media has been taking care of her. Charlemagne, God, by the way, totally fumbled the ball this week. He had the opportunity to really level up when she went on Breakfast Club with him, and he just didn't. He asked her, all of these softball questions. She does a perfectly fine job. He doesn't press back on anything, doesn't fact check her on anything, and that's why he got absolutely cooked in his comments. Brett Baer, and by the way, Benny, Those were not hard questions. There were no gotcha questions in there. Charlie Kirk gets harder questions when he goes on campus to some of these kids. You know, how many black people are represented in the Republicans? Like, you know, they throw all these gotchas at him. There's not anything about this. He's like, so this was your policy. You know, you ended catch and release. You have this app. You have amnesty. You continued TPS. These are her policies, and these are the most obvious questions that were going to come up when she went on a Fox News interview. And the fact that she didn't even have basic straight answers really goes to show you just how bad she is as a candidate, and she's just unfit to lead. She's just simply unfit to lead.
Such a great Scarface line. All I got in this world is my word and my balls, and they don't break for nobody.
That's right.
This is the opposite of Kamala Harris, incapable of even defending her own words. You want they played it. I can't believe they played the clip. This is, by the way, Charlemagne getting cooked. Look at that ratio, Jack. Look at that ratio getting into the sun for Charlemagne. I guess he's a god, so maybe he can handle it. But I've never seen him get
God of what?
Absolutely smoked.
God of what?
So absolutely smoked in his comment section here. So this is a nightmare. This is a nightmare for Kamala Harris. You said that we get fact checked on our memes. You got fact check on a Scarface meme. I do have an interesting clip here to play for you of the interview last night that wasn't aired, shockingly, and I don't think it will register a fact check for this program. But it's a leaked piece of media that came.
Oh wow,
that's come across our. We have sources, right? We have sources, Jack. And here we go. This is what was not broadcast.
It's called the U.S. Citizenship Act of 2021.
Throw the towel in.
It was essentially a pathway to citizenship for the elite.
May I finish responding, please?
But
you have to let me finish.
The White House and the House and the Senate.
I'm
and
in
they
the
didn't
middle
bring
of
the hook. Yeah.
to the
Pull the
point
hook.
you're raising,
Okay.
and I'd like to finish.
Yes, ma'am.
And eventually just pull her off. Yeah, so this obviously is the non-AI version of the interview, which, of course, your crack team of specialists here at the Benny Show, ALX, probably what he did is he went in and he defiltered what Fox aired and was able to get us the true version of reality through the gauze or the filters put by the mainstream.
This is actually
incredible work.
I can't believe you called this out. This is actually producer Robbie in the clown suit right there, trying to. And it was tough. It was a tough job, right? There's a lot of contractors in this industry
kicking the stick away.
That's exactly right. And that we rented that pony from my daughters. If your sons have a birthday party, welcome to bring the pony up. So here we go.
We do. Yeah, AJ has a birthday coming up in December.
Okay. So, all right. So it's a all right. ALX, the meme lord, did help us come up with that one. Jack, I got to tell you, you have some great sources inside the White House. I did want to sort of end with, what have you been hearing about Kamala Harris in the sort of aftermath of this nightmarish there just is no cope around it. There's no way to spin this as a win. They can do whatever they want to inside of the fake ecosystems that they try and create, but there's no way to actually spin this as a win. They must be having a panicked meltdown. What do your sources tell you?
So here's what's interesting. Got a quote from a member that's been there since January 20th, 2021, who actually said verbatim, "In the 1,366 days that I have been here, I cannot recall a moment that left her this infuriated and volatile. It's bad." But what's interesting is that apparently Kamala Harris herself, was going through X, was scrolling a bit on X last night, and was really upset at what she called the brown-nosing, she used a word that I probably can't use in polite company, but we'll say sycophants, and saying that, how are these people putting this out there when she knew basically that she didn't do a great job, and said, ironically, I would have respected them if they had actually just said that it was bad. But instead, really what you're starting to hear, though, from her staff is that, they knew after a night like that to just leave her alone, not just on the plane, but even the entire evening, because they know complete meltdown. Basically they were saying they were only letting Secret Service go around her. Everyone else, even senior advisors, were just kind of letting her be while she was on the plane on the way back, the short flight back to Washington, D.C. last night.
Prayers up for Kamala staff. Keep your heads low. the memes are coming for you. Speaking of keeping your head on a swivel, Jack has, of course, his brand new book out, Bulletproof, with the best cover, I think, of any book on the market right now. An iconic photo. Can't wait to turn the Donald Trump with his fist in the air into a statue carved out of marble in Washington, D.C. I think we'll get there, Jack. But the truth about Donald Trump's assassination attempts, Jack's brand new book, forward by Don Jr. What is the truth, Jack?
Well, Benny, the truth is that there have been a series now that we've seen of planned hits on Donald Trump. And because both of them have failed, remember, the first failed hit triggered this entire scenario where Kamala Harris was placed in as president. And people need to forget, people have forgotten, and people need to remember that it was those 9 days between the shot at Butler and the switching out of Joe Biden as our president, as the presidential candidate, that essentially showed us the true nature of the government under which we live. This is the nature of our government. It is not a government of the people. It is a government of the shadowy elites. They are the ones who pulled Joe Biden out. So we've got all the information there about that. Then the second one, down at Mar-a-Lago and the West Palm Beach Golf Club, this individual, Ryan Wesley Routh, who came over from Ukraine, directly involved with the CIA-trained Azov battalion, just happens to make his way back down, even though he's a felon for 20 years, with an AK-style rifle, a Kalashnikov knockoff called an SKS, and is sitting there just yards away, one hole away. He was on the 6th hole. Donald Trump was on the 5th, waiting for him, lying in wait. The Secret Service, no answers whatsoever have been given to us. And so, Benny, what we're doing with this book is we've created a situation where we don't trust the federal government. And I don't think any of us do at this point. We certainly don't trust the investigators. And I see the Secret Service in the New York Times has a big story out this morning saying that, they need to revamp their policies. They need to put it up. But Benny, let's be serious. If that were Barack Obama giving a speech at a field in Butler, Pennsylvania, they would have had the drones up. They would have had full levels of security. They would have had it all.
They would have never let it happen, Jack. They would have never let that event happen, right? It's too many holes, right?
And so we know with the 12 independent security failures that we've identified, we actually took those 12 failures and we conducted a probability matrix, and we said, what are the odds of all of this happening on the same day that a trained marksman with malicious attempt went to the rally and was able to climb up at an unsecured building, which somehow he knew was unsecured, and went up there on his own. We plugged all that into GPT-4 Omni. And in Omni, we came back with a response. The answer is 1 in 1 septillion, which is the same probability as flipping a coin 93 times in a row and it always coming up heads. And in fact, GPT-4 Omni told us that the severely high likelihood of this occurring leads us to believe that it did not happen by chance and that it could have been something else. So what have we done, Benny? We've decided to go and hire our own private investigators, and our own private investigators are currently on the ground in Bethel Park, Pennsylvania. They're doing the shoe leather work. They're going to the gun range. They're going to the house. They're going to all of the individuals who are tied in with this guy, Thomas Matthew Crooks. We've spoken to people directly who met and interacted with Thomas Matthew Crooks, like Scott Sigafus and some of these other classmates and some of these individuals who are in classes with him. And we are conducting our own investigation separate from the federal government's. We're calling it the Bulletproof Project. And this book represents the first iteration of the reports that will be coming out. So this book is just volume 1. And so what we're asking people to do is that when they purchase the book, the proceeds will go to furthering that investigation. And now with this second guy who came out of Ukraine, look, if I've got to send investigators to Ukraine, then I will send investigators to Ukraine, because we need to get to the bottom of who is trying to kill Donald Trump. And that's what Matt Gaetz came on my program not long ago and stated, that there are 5 active assassination teams that are currently attempting to kill Donald Trump. And so when we unpack the ones that have gone on before, perhaps we can find out exactly what is going on and stop it from happening in the future.
I think there's going to be quite a bit of a ramp up here, Jack, and it's terrifying to think about.
Certainly after that interview.
Yeah, I think there's going to be some real threats. Truly, 19 days to the election, so much energy on the side. Barack Obama and Joe Biden looking very concerned yesterday at a funeral for what was supposed to be Ethel Kennedy, but might be a funeral for Kamala Harris's campaign. Certainly after last night. We just want to say thank you, Jack. Everyone, Bulletproof is the book. Here's Jack's social media. You already followed Jack, most likely. 2.7 million people. Can't be wrong. Ladies and gentlemen, the great Jack Posobiec.
God bless, buddy. Thanks, man.
See you, homie. I love that meme. How is it so good? You got to pop it up one more time. This is so good. This is how is it? We're living in an amazing era. We really are. Get her up. Get it back. Give her the hook. Give her the hook. Please stop. Drag her away. Somebody who has some inside knowledge of what was actually happening behind the scenes. Somebody who is, speaking of great investigative reporters, some backgrounder knowledge of what really happened, and we're really excited to hear it, is a regular guest on this program who brings us breaking news and who says that Kamala Harris and her team attempted to sabotage this interview before it even started with Fox News. Absolute groundbreaking stuff from, of course, the great Julie Kelly, who joins us live now. Julie, thank you so much for being on the program. We know, because Brett Baer has told us, that there were multiple staffers waving their arms, screaming at him to stop the interview. But what you're saying is that you've been saying that Kamala's team had planned to sabotage it from the get. Can you explain?
That's exactly what it looks like, Benny. And this is what Brett Baer was telling his colleagues on Fox News after the interview. Now, of course, Brett Baer had promoted the idea or promoted the show. Kamala Harris refused to do a live interview on Brett's show that begins at 6 o'clock Eastern time. They agreed to start the interview at 5 o'clock, go for a half an hour, giving them enough time to turn that around and available for the broadcast at 6 o'clock, which of course, most of America was going to be waiting for. Instead, Kamala Harris showed up at 5:15, 15 minutes into this. Now, Benny, you know this. Imagine you are the TV host and every minute counts at that point. So he is already cooling his heels for 15 minutes, watching the clock, knowing they've got to have this ready to go uploaded for 6 o'clock. 45 minutes later, she comes in at 5:15, sits down at the chair at 5:17, and immediately starts filibustering. And so what Brett Baer said is he kind of recognized what was happening, that she was going to be talking over him. And he said again today, he might have gotten 4 questions in had he not pressed her and interrupted her filibustering. And then to your point, and you could see Brett Baer on the camera turning off camera, off stage and saying, okay. And reportedly she had 3 or 4 staffers trying to cut him up. So the original 30-minute interview was cut down by a third to 20 minutes. And her plan the entire time was to talk over him, turn this back to Orange Man Bad, and then cut him off before she had her little petulant temper tantrum at the end of the interview.
This is, deeply unprofessional. President Trump goes long on these things all the time. President Trump goes and sits down with the National Association of Black Journalists. That was a That was a nasty one. That was just nasty. And the way that he handled it was so different. The way he handles it is just, it's just a masterclass in getting the audience on his side and then reframing the argument. We played the clip earlier. What a nasty question. You don't say hello? You don't say hello to me, Trump? Come on. Like, it's amazing. Total masterclass.
Greatest president of all time. You don't say hello.
Yeah, it's like, and then suddenly everyone's laughing in the audience. The black journalists in the audience are laughing at the black journalists on stage, and Trump goes, "You are fake news," and they crack up.
Right.
It's the exact opposite of the panic we saw on stage. This is what Julie Kelly is referencing, by the way. Bret Baier saying, "Okay, I get it. Your staff keeps coming for me. Like, okay, we get it. Like, they're attacking us. Watch this."
Madam Vice President,
And
they're giving me a hard rap
Well,
here.
I thank you for the time.
I thank you for the time.
It's good to meet you.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
And you could see Bret Baier looking off camera very nervously in the last round of questions, being like, okay, all right, back off. So you're saying that they cut the interview short by at least 10 minutes by showing up late, knowing that Bret's up against a hard timeline to flip this around. Either way, they flipped this around and this was land speed records for flipping an. I mean, we know what it takes, obviously, to cut an interview and put it up. Congratulations to the team at Fox that actually was able to get this done. But that was a sabotage tactic.
Yes, it was.
Okay.
100% sabotage. They set up Fox News. They tried to set up Bret Baier. He sensed right away what was happening. I'm sure he was fuming that they showed up 15 minutes late after refusing to do. Where was Kamala Harris going last night aside from happy hour? And look, I don't object to happy hour myself, but why couldn't she do a live interview at 6 o'clock? So all of it was sort of a setup. Bret Baier, I think
the problem, Julie, if I may be so bold, is that she went to happy hour before the interview.
Could be. Now, maybe she needed to calm her nerves, but I don't think it worked. And to your point, Benny, now look at the interview that Donald Trump did this week in Chicago with that horrific editor-in-chief from Bloomberg News, who was so aggressive towards him, compared the election January 6th really to Venezuela, and was so hostile to Donald Trump. And of course, to your point, he disarmed not him, but certainly the audience, who ended up turning on the interviewer for being so aggressive, uninformed, and really downright nasty, as Donald Trump says. So Kamala Harris has never sat for any sort of interview like Bret Baier conducted last night. She certainly would never have survived the sort of interviews that Donald Trump does on almost a daily basis. The media has done Kamala Harris such a disservice. And even today, protecting her, trying to make us not believe our own eyes of what we saw last night in that interview, that she really ruled the roost. You know, she took over. She was loaded for bear, that some of the headlines from Politico. So they've really done a disservice. And I think that is a reflection of what we saw last night in that disastrous interview.
She went into the lion's den and ate Slay Queen, Kamala's brat, right? It's like, this shit's not working, Julie. Like, it just, at some point, everyone starts realizing, and can you grab trust in media at an all-time low? Again, with Gallup, there's a poll that was out just recently with Gallup. Trust in media, all-time low, because people are sick of being treated like they're idiots. I mean, that's ultimately the problem here, is that we get treated like chattel, like sheep, and people are repulsed by it because we can see that Kamala did a bad job by definition. Okay, so prima facie, when you have a leader that is incapable of taking responsibility for her actions, this is a big problem, obviously, with all leaders. This is part of the reason why people don't trust Kamala Harris, why men don't trust Kamala Harris. This is a very masculine quality, to just take responsibility for your actions, to own up, right? You want that, you must have that, and commanders, leaders, generals, like, you have to be able to take responsibility for those under your keep. And Kamala Harris being incapable of not one time, Julie, saying, yep, that's my bad. That's my fault. I shouldn't have let a bunch of criminal aliens into the country to rape and pillage and murder. My bad. And instead, she says Trump's been running for office. This is an exact quote. She says, actually, Trump's been running for office. You know what I'm talking about. And Brett Baier goes, I don't know what you're talking about.
Don't know what you're talking
you
about.
crazy lady. Here's all-time low, even for libs, all-time low trust for media. Look, yeah, even for Democrats, actually, which is shocking. Independents, Republicans, and Dems are reaching all-time bottoms for trust in media. And it's because of what you just elucidated, that Kamala Harris doesn't ever get asked questions that even remotely border on critical of her actions. And that's all Brett Baier did last night. That's like the threshold we're at, where like these people can live inside this bubble that they don't even have their actions and words brought forward to answer for. I think they've done a disservice to you're exactly right, Julie.
Yes.
They've done a disservice to her by not, because that's normal.
By coddling her. Right.
Yes. Sorry for the monologue there. It's just what you said is so profound and so true.
Which is why they're now invested in protecting her even further and trying to convince us that last night's interview was a win for Kamala Harris, because deep down they have to recognize that their coddling, their protecting of her has made her such an unprepared candidate that she can't. I mean, look, that interview, Brett Baier was very tough, I think, on Kamala Harris. He tried under very strenuous circumstances to get an answer. But compared to what Donald Trump or J.D. Vance or any Republican has to endure from media reporting, I mean, that was maybe a solid 5 out of a 10 in terms of what she has had to put up with. Sure. So now they're invested in pretending that she is prepared. They're investing in saying that she is knowledgeable, that she is telling the truth, because they have created this false impression of her. And Benny, I'll tell you 2 things last night that I think were very damaging for Kamala Harris. When Brett Baier, to his credit, confronted her about the young women who have been murdered by illegal aliens in this country, asking her directly, do you owe them an apology after playing that clip of a mother who lost her daughter? Now, you have daughters, I have daughters. What Kamala Harris demonstrated last night, that's how a woman who has never raised a child reacts to something as inconceivable as that. Her phony expression of sympathy and then immediately turning it to Donald Trump, to me, immediately disqualifying. It was so clear. She feels no remorse or responsibility for the murders of women like Lake and Riley. I mean, imagine your daughter out for a run and that's how her life is ended. And you have to watch Kamala Harris pretend that she cares when you know this administration has not reached out to any of these parents. I think that alone is disqualifying. Also, her lying about Donald Trump allowing or authorizing transgender surgeries at federal prisons under his administration. That is a flat out lie. And I posted today the press release from the ACLU, June of 2022, first transgender surgery conducted at a federal prison. She completely lied about that too. So again, credit to Brett Baier for what he did. And I think we just keep pushing back on the media sycophants, these bootlickers who insist on trying to convince us that what we're seeing, we're not really seeing the right thing.
What a repulsive, it's worth, because you called it out, hold on, put it back up, Klein. Because you called it out, it's worth it's worth taking this moment. But let's take this moment where she responds to the mother. So the mother gives us this impassioned, gut-wrenching plea against the policies of Kamala Harris that led to the murder of her daughter. And Kamala's response here is so important to pin down there's a single word here that set my blood pressure and my blood boiling. Here we go.
Open border policies are responsible for the death of my daughter.
That's the early days. So do you owe them an apology is what I'm saying.
I will tell you that I am so sorry for her loss. I'm so sorry for her loss. Sincerely. But let's talk about...
But, yeah, I killed your daughter. Sure. If I wasn't in office, your daughter would be alive. Okay? That's a matter of fact. If President Trump's policies were enacted and I hadn't rescinded every single one of them on day one, your daughter would be alive. But, Julie,
I'm sorry for your loss. Like, that's what you say to someone really who lost a pet, right? You don't say that. And this, again, is underscored by the fact that Kamala Harris is not a mother. She has never raised children. And that right there demonstrates her true lack of empathy that is born out of the fact that she has not raised children. I'm sorry. That is problematic because when you haven't, you don't understand what that means to lose a child or to think about losing a child or laying awake at night if your child is sick or the first time your child drives a car or the first time your child goes away to college. That animates your life. And you know that, Benny, and I know that too, especially in a professional capacity. That right there, completely disqualifying.
Because of the threat to the lives of my children, we just evacuated for the last 8 days, our home here in Tampa. And my wife and I were regularly saying this, Julie. We're like, if it was just us, if it was just me and Kate, we would have probably evacuated. I got to be honest with you. It's the fact that she's pregnant, my wife is pregnant, and that we have 3 little children, 3 kids under the age of 4.
Right.
And so it makes it a no-brainer. If we were out early, we didn't get caught in traffic because it was like, no, the incidence of something potentially bad happening to my children is enough for us to just uproot everything, right, and go. And so this is an instinct you only have as a parent, and it is a dark and sick cruelty to the men and women who not only have to suffer under Kamala's border policies, but also Kamala's foreign policy disaster, like ratcheting up wars. Right? It's somebody else's kids who go fight and die in those wars, right? It's never the family of the elites. It's never the people who have children. It's always someone else's children. And I think parents are drawing a line in the sand and saying, F you. Enough of the carnage for our kids, right? You godless, childless monsters. You don't get to send our kids off to the slaughter. F you.
Yeah, F you. And think about it. Kamala Harris not only does not have children, she has had professional security for 15 or so years. As Attorney General for California, as a U.S. Senator, she had protection. And she's had Secret Service protection now for almost 4 years and continues to do so. She doesn't need to worry about her personal security. She certainly doesn't have to worry about her daughter walking around a big city and or a small town and being assaulted and attacked by one of these migrants. She's protected, right? So she doesn't understand. This is the lack of she is nothing more than a product of her own personal and political ambition. And that, again, was demonstrated so clearly last night, is that she has lived for herself, completely for herself. Her advancement in politics is for her own benefit. She is not doing it to protect your children or my children or anyone else's children. She wants to be in that office. She thinks she earned this nomination. And she will continue to do the exact same things that Joe Biden has been doing, probably worse, and accelerated it. So that is the choice that voters confront. Do you want this political automat who clearly lacks a soul or a conscience or the ability to empathize or have sympathy for anyone but herself? Or do you want someone like Donald Trump, who has stood at the border with parents of a girl murdered by a migrant, and you can tell his deep, sincere sympathy and heartbreak on behalf of these families, versus that is in my opinion, as important a consideration as who will run the economy better and who will get us out of these foreign wars. That is the sort of quality and consideration that voters need to take in mind.
I just want to sort of end with this. Julie Kelly has an incredible Substack. She's herself an independent journalist and does better work than anyone on the cases against President Trump, on investigating January 6th, investigating the pipe bomb right at the DNC and Kamala's connection to it. Like, this is why so many people are flocking to Julie Kelly's Substack, to our program here, where Julie's a regular and beloved guest. It's because the corporate press won't ask questions like this, because the corporate media, the only reason Kamala is able to get away with this, like wholesale slaughter of American children, is because she never gets asked. No one ever has the guts and the balls to walk up and just say the decent thing to do is to take responsibility for the lives and the carnage that you've created. I have never seen anyone ask Kamala Harris about Laken Riley. It's the first time, Julie, you can correct me if I'm wrong, but it's the first time I've seen anybody in the media, anybody who's ever had a microphone to Kamala Harris's face, say, what do you think about this family who's lost everything? There are things you can replace, everything you can replace. My house could have been like wiped away. Many people's were in my neighborhood, wiped away from the hurricane, wiped away my car, take it all. God can have it all. Like there are things you can't replace. Those are my children. All right. Can't replace them. They're angels from God. And it's my charge to protect them. And the media allow Kamala to get away with this by never asking a question about that. And so that's why everyone is gravitating to people like you and me who at the very least have a soul and care about these things. And I can confidently say, no matter who you are or how you vote, I don't want your children to be murdered by a criminal alien. I don't want them to be murdered in some desert fighting for someone else's country.
That's right.
I can say it. And I'll fight with you to prevent it from happening. And I think that's why people actually, that's such a human thing. That's why people like are now flooding to your Substack and flooding to this show. It's awesome.
Thank you, Benny. Well, I appreciate that. And I appreciate all you do in covering my work. And, we've got a tough couple of weeks ahead. But I think that Donald Trump is in a good position. And I think that Kamala Harris will continue to have more meltdowns like this, and Joe Biden as well. So I think we're going to have an interesting little sideshow over the next few weeks. As she said last night, I am not going to have the same presidency as Joe Biden. I can only imagine how that went over with Dr. Jill and Joe Biden last night.
You think how much Chardonnay do you think was thrown against the wall in Jill's bedroom last night, right?
Maybe some ice cream. I don't know, but it's probably ugly.
Yeah. All right. Well, I'm sure there's plenty of, I'm sure there's a functional ice cream machine at Guantanamo Bay. Maybe that's where Mark Milley is headed. I know that you have this timeline. We talked about it last time you were on the program. Sorry, there's so much to talk about, but let's click on this real fast. I want everybody to go to Julie's Substack, Declassified with Julie Kelly, because talk about this timeline with the National Guard. Mark Milley, he says that he expects a court-martial if Donald Trump is reelected. Do you agree?
I hope so. He should be towards the top of the list of former officials, especially considering his high office that he held. And I'll tell you what, aside from this timeline that took months for my researcher, Haley McLean, and I to put together, we did every source, transcribed interviews, videos, book excerpts, including from Mark Milley, to put this blow by blow. It's almost a minute by minute account on January 6th as to the delays in the deployment of the National Guard. And then finally, the deployment of the DC Guard after 5 o'clock that day. But listen, Mark Milley has his dirty fingerprints all over this, beginning in the summer of 2020. Furthermore, just yesterday, Tanya Chutkin, who's presiding over Jack Smith's prosecution of Donald Trump in the J6 matter, refused to allow Donald Trump to get access to Mark Milley's classified documents related to January 6th. Now, Mark Milley told the J6 committee that he had all these records. He was involved in all these phone calls. He was texting people. He was emailing people. After January 6th, Benny, he put all of that under the highest classification level, so no one could get access to it. He told the J6 committee that. Mark Milley allegedly is going to be a witness. This case will never go to trial, but he has been suggested, and Jack Smith has said he's a potential witness. But here's Tanya Chutkin telling Donald Trump, no, you can't have access to those records. Well, why not? If it proves, as we all now suspect, this was an inside job, that Mark Milley was a key figure in organizing and executing what happened on January 6th, it totally exonerates Donald Trump. Tanya Chutkin, in addition to a lot of other records that Donald Trump has asked for, refusing to force the government to turn those over. The cover-up of January 6th continues, but people like Mark Milley and others, when Donald Trump wins, they must hold these people accountable and get this information out to the public, because it will completely undermine this bogus false narrative at January 6th that this media has force-fed down the throats of the American people for almost 4 years.
Some force feeding, I'm sure. Yeah, happening in the White House. I'm not sure exactly they're eating through a tube just yet. Jimmy Carter, who just voted for Kamala Harris, don't you worry about that. Jeez, what a clown car Julie. What a mess. We're excited for the next 4 years. I'm so excited for the next 4 years. I'm so excited for your journalism to actually get like the kind of investigative teeth that they deserve. And I have a feeling you're going to have a lot of wins in the coming months and years. The great Julie Kelly. Follow, please, right here. 721,000 Americans. Can't be wrong. And 2 beautiful German Shepherds. Julie, God bless you.
You're the best, Benny. Thanks so much.
Ladies and gentlemen, so many libs melting down. So many salty, salty libs. So we have a Mika meltdown for you, which is one of our favorite types of meltdowns. And we have to, again, as I say, administer the salt. You have to increase your sodium capacity for the next 19 days. Otherwise, there's going to be so much salt. You'll overdose, right? Don't do it. Make sure that you're salting the libs every single day. We will salt the libs every day. Here's our salt that lib for the day, the Mika meltdown.
It's decidedly un-American. It's a big story. And it's the critical backdrop to this moment in which Vice President Kamala Harris sat down for an interview with Fox News. It was supposed to give viewers an opportunity to actually hear her plans as president. Instead, as you saw, it almost immediately devolved into an embarrassing bad faith effort by a once respected host to play to an audience of one. The host's constant, rude interruptions were designed to distract from the issues and facts that Trump and his acolytes try and twist and distort every day. And on Fox News, they try and avoid. And they couldn't. When Kamala Harris realized the host was not going to let her speak, the only way the vice president could give Fox viewers an opportunity to hear what she had to say was to talk back over him. Was he making sure that happened? I personally think absolutely. Did she do well in this environment? Of course. She was great. She's a former prosecutor, attorney general, senator, current vice president. She's fine with a situation like that and even flourishes. Yet there were times she was shaky on answers about immigration. He kept coming after her. But the questions sounded like they came from a Trump campaign ad. In fact, they played a Trump campaign ad in the interview. The host almost seemed obsessed with transgender surgeries. The vice president kept trying to tell him she will follow the law. That was the answer. All the while, the vice president found her opportunities to make the case against Donald Trump.
Keep going. Keep doing it. The salt. It's so delicious. I must have the salt. I must drink the salt. It tastes like chocolate gumdrops. I love the salt. Our cup overfloweth. Our salt shakers overfloweth with the salt. This is me every morning salting my coffee. Keep doing it. Keep going off about keep going off about obsession with transgender surgeries for criminal illegal aliens inside of our court system. Keep doing it. You're repeating our attack lines on Kamala Harris. Keep doing it. It's working. Boys, it's working. Boys, it's working. Let's listen to J.D. Vance this morning on Kamala Harris. Such a great clip here. This is so sharp. Listen, man. Listen. I will openly admit, I really wanted Vivek Ramaswamy for VP. You saw it on the show. I had Vivek on the show. Vivek, BVP. Dude, J.D. Vance has freaking a perfect pick, okay? He's just a perfect pick. The way that he does his interviews, the way that he shadow boxes the corporate media, this would have never happened to J.D. Vance. You saw him 4-on-1, 7-on-1, 1,000-on-1, really, during the debate, because the entire ecosystem of CBS News, how many employees are at CBS News? It's all against J.D. Vance. It was all filtered in order to destroy J.D. Vance, and J.D. Vance, one man against a 7-nation army, destroyed him. Everyone says J.D. Vance won. And it's because of simplistic breakdowns like this. He calls Kamala Harris pathological. Pathological. Hitting the note that we've been trying to ring for this entire show, which is there's nothing more grotesque than being incapable of taking responsibility for your actions. It means you're a coward. You're the worst type of person. You don't want that person to be your mother. You don't want that person to be your father. You don't want that person to be your boss. Is the worst type of person. You certainly don't want that person to lead America. Here's J.D. Vance breaking it down.
She is, of course, the deciding vote in trillions of dollars of Joe Biden's spending. She bragged about being the last person in the room when major decisions were made. But we have to sort of step back and appreciate there is something pathological going on here. She has been in power for 3.5 years. And when asked about how she would be different, she goes and talks about Donald Trump. And when when it's pointed out, well, you've actually been in office for 3.5 years, she says, well, he's been talking about politics for 10 years. What is it in the mind of this person that can't just acknowledge that she has been in power for 3.5 years and bears some responsibility as the sitting vice president for the condition that the country is in? Now, she could do any number of things. She could actually say, well, I think that things are a little bit better than you're giving me credit for. Or she could say, well, this wasn't totally my fault. Instead, she pretends that Donald Trump bears the responsibility for problems that happened while she was the sitting vice president. She does that about the border. She does that about the affordability of groceries. She does that about the chaos on the world stage. I've never seen a person who's running for president as the sitting vice president who pretends that she has nothing to do with the condition of the country she's been governing.
Just such a great breakdown. It's pathological. And I quote, there's something pathological going on here. What is it in the mind of a person that can't acknowledge that she's been in power for 3.5 years and bears responsibility for her actions? Lady, take responsibility for your actions. Man. And they're sitting there wondering, like, why do no men want to vote for Kamala? As she's like lecturing Bret Baier and wagging her finger in his face, screaming at him in total hysterics. Vivek Ramaswamy didn't get the VP nod from Donald Trump. Will most likely be serving in the administration. Little birdies tell us. Vivek Ramaswamy with the tag team against Kamala Harris last night instantly on Jesse Waters' show. Here we go.
What is that? Well, I think she discovered a new line tonight, Jesse. She says, I will follow the law. So when you don't want to answer a question about what the policy agenda is, you just say, I will follow the law, as if as the president of the United States, you're not actually setting the agenda that goes through Congress in the first place. So do I favor a tax on unrealized capital gains? Well, the next question she's going to get is, I will follow the law. It's the new rote response. It's the second part of that exchange that I thought was more interesting relating to the Iran piece, where she made a statement that I think is, in a world with China, quite a statement to make, to say that Iran is the single biggest threat to the United States right now vis-a-vis China. But it made me take a step back and think about, when I think about the biggest threat to the national security of the U.S., it's actually a weak president in the White House. And that's what we saw on display in that interview. I think Brett did an outstanding job. It surprised me that Kamala Harris actually sat for that interview. And what that signals to me is that they're as worried as they probably should be. When you're going down, you want high volatility outcomes. That was a potentially high volatility interview. It didn't go well for her. And it signals to me increasing desperation in their camp. So no complacency on our side. I think that's important. Sure. But I think this trajectory is heading in a potentially very good direction.
Increasing desperation. And there's a lot of desperation in watching Don Jr.'s hit last night, right after. This is like the first snap response from Team Trump, from the Trump family on Jesse Waters' show. Don Jr. cooking, baby. Go in.
You don't go on Bret Baier if you're winning. This is an act of desperation from a desperate person. She's not going to do anything differently. She cut and pasted Joe Biden's policies and didn't even change the source code when a month after her coup, because, she likes to talk about democracy, but didn't win a single vote in her primary to become the Democratic nominee. It's absolutely amazing. The people that she talks about intelligence that say Trump is unstable, those are the same people that signed off on the Hunter Biden laptop being Russian disinformation. We know that's all a lie. It's an abject disaster for her. She became unhinged. They're pulling her early because she got angry and couldn't answer even basic questions. She didn't just fail with Bret Baier. She failed on The View, Jesse, last week.
That's right.
Imagine how bad you have to be as a Democrat to go on The View and basically commit political suicide. She doesn't have it.
Committing political suicide. An absolute abject disaster. She's right. He's right about Kamala Harris. This is an act of desperation. This is why we began today's conversation, today's show, we began today's stream with the meme. Is that panic I smell? Oh, it's fresh. It's in the air. It's so crisp. It's so delicious. Fall, the crunch of the fall leaves under our feet. It is panic time. Guys, I can't express it enough. Like, this is JD Vance's tweet last night that I freaking love. To my Democrat friends, maybe you should consider swapping Kamala Harris for Joe Biden. And then we have the clip of Joe Biden and Barack Obama losing it yesterday. Just, you can see them. It's panic time. ALX, can I play the meme of this? Am I allowed? This is an ALX. Hey, this is an ALX question. It's always up to ALX, executive producer. Look at this. Look at them go. Look at these are not happy people. These are not happy people. Oh boy, this is bad. Yeah. Okay. ALX has got the meme. We don't. Apparently, a lip reader went through and was able to do the closest possible potential accurate reading of what these guys were saying to each other, and they were able to use an AI, right? They were able to use an AI and put the voices together. We get an opportunity to sort of listen in here, okay? So again, this is pure speculation from the internet, from AI, all right, of what may have been being said in this interview. This is what science proves, okay?
So is Kamala doing okay?
Nope. She's down, Joe. I think they found out that she's retarded, and now we're basically fucked. Trump is killing us at the polls, so yes, we're going to lose Joe.
Damn it. Wait. What if I come back to run again?
As candidate?
Yeah.
Well, let me put it this way, Joe. The only person in this world who is even more retarded than Kamala Harris is basically you. So no, Joe,
on, man.
You're
Just
not going
give
back
another
yet.
shot.
Let's let it all play out. Okay, we'll talk later, Joe.
Okay.
Women looking fine up in here.
Women looking fine up in here at the Ethel Kennedy funeral. Oh, boys, we might have blown our chances to do an RFK interview with that one. Oh man, it was worth it. It was worth it. That's what you just got to scream. It was worth it. Oh man. Okay. All right. They're scared. What are they gonna do? What are they gonna do, guys? Trump's gonna cook fries. Trump's gonna cook the fries. He's going to actually go work the fries at a McDonald's. Check it out. Former President Donald Trump will visit McDonald's in swing state of Pennsylvania on Sunday to work the fry cooker. It's real. I told you the train has no brakes. I told you there's no more rules. There's no rules. Trump's going to make fries at McDonald's this weekend. This weekend. You have my solemn oath that we will be the first. The problem with actually going, to Trump, to these locations is, one, they're so crowded. And then two, it's like impossible to actually post when you're inside of these locations. So it's actually better for us to be available to just go live. We might go live. I don't know. This is amazing. Former President Donald Trump is expected to visit a McDonald's on Sunday in Pennsylvania to work as the fry cooker. According to sources familiar to the matter, the network has reported this comes as Trump repeatedly claimed VP Kamala Harris never actually worked at McDonald's. Indeed, Trump previewed his move during a speech in late September, doubting Harris's claim that she worked at McDonald's. Harris has provided zero evidence that she worked at McDonald's. But we have memes. We have AIs of Donald Trump working the French fryer. Guys, there are so many of these. Grab me a couple because they're glorious. There we go. Would you chat? Would you eat those fries? Chat, if Donald Trump offered you these fries with a side of salty ketchup, would you eat them? You got to tell me, chat. Let's see. Let's check. Let's check. Everyone's saying they would. That's right. Oh, hell yeah. 100%. Oh, yeah. I see you, John Knott. I see you, boys and girls. Lots of Y's. Yes, yes, yes. McDonald's stock's going to go up 5%. It's true. It's true. Look at that. We have any other good AIs? Trump and fries? You toss them. This boys, come on. We want to see this. Oh, yeah. Come on. Oh, is he going to put on an apron? Is he going to just wear the Trump suit? I like the red suit. I like the Trump from the red suit. I don't want him to look like McDonald's clown. Kamala Harris does enough of that. But look at that. Oh, yeah, boys. Come on. Tell me you wouldn't. Tell me you wouldn't take a hot, steaming, salty fry from that plate right there and say, make America delicious again. That's what you say. I think I'm going to a McDonald's in 2 weeks, says Donald Trump. 2 weeks. So he already has it planned. I'm going to work the French fries because I've worked longer and harder at McDonald's than she did. Trump has that McDonald's ad with Grimace. You guys know that Trump's got that McDonald's ad? That Donald Trump has actually worked at McDonald's. So before he even does the fries here, Donald Trump can say with certitude and with verified proof that he has worked at McDonald's, worked with McDonald's longer and more successfully than Kamala Harris. Because Donald Trump has a McDonald's ad with Grimace, which is just great. Come on, man. Let's make this guy president again. Here we go.
I don't know how you do it. I put together some really impressive deals. But this thing you've pulled off, it's amazing. A big and tasty for just $1? How do you do it? What's your secret?
Got a buck? You're in luck. Because you can get a delicious beefy big and tasty, a McChicken sandwich, and lots of your other favorites on McDonald's Dollar Menu every day.
Together, Grimace, we could own this town.
Oh man, what a heartfelt way. What a heartfelt way to end the show. This is great. Bring that back. And also, what a reminder of what inflation has done to our nation. What overspending has done to our country. Whatever happened to the Big and Tasty? Have you ever eaten a Big and Tasty? Have you eaten a Big and Tasty? Those were delicious. Do you remember those? Those were so good. They don't have them anymore. A Big and Tasty for $1? Dude, you could walk into a McDonald's with $4 greasy in your back pocket. Everyone has $4, right? And you could get a whole meal. You get French fry, you get Big and Tasty, you get a side salad, you get a dessert. Big and Tasties, man. That's like the perfect. Donald Trump should run that as an ad for his campaign. Like bring back the $1 Big and Tasty. That's what America looks like again. Dude, pop it up. This is what McDonald's looks like now. Look at this. Look what they've done. Look what they've done to my boy. Look what they stole from us. Look what you've done to my boy. The meal is now $11 for a meal. $11 at McDonald's, a hamburger. These hamburgers used to be like, what did a hamburger cost when you were a little kid? I remember when I was a little kid, you could have like you could have change in your pocket and get a hamburger for like 60 cents. I'm no spring chicken, but I remember the 90s. Double hamburger. Look at that. Double hamburger. I bet the Big and Tasty has more beef on it. And that's $3 now. $3. That's what these people have done. Look what they stole from us. Look what they stole from us. These monsters. We shall have our revenge. And I will have my vengeance. In this life or the next. That's what Donald Trump should say when he serves the fries. This is what Trump should say when he serves. Can you put up Trump serving the fries again? Yeah. My name is Donaldus Maximus Frimus, and I will have my vengeance in this life or the next. Now eat the fries. This is Donald Trump. He should say that. He should go to McDonald's and be like, look at these prices. Look at the prices. Look what they did to your boy. Look what they've done. Look what they've stolen from you. And then he gives everyone free fries. That's what and then you win. And then you win. The people of Pennsylvania, they cry. Even the Amish, like, go vote electronically for Trump. Everyone. Like people are screaming, people are crying, and they're running into that McDonald's. There are thousands of people flooding the McDonald's, eating free fries. Everyone's dancing. The music's going. YMCA. Everyone's dancing. Trump's throwing fries. He's flinging fries. Kids are getting burned. Doesn't matter. Everyone's going to the fryer. There's like 50 different Amish horse and buggies. The horses are eating the fries. Donald Trump putting it in the horse basket. The horses are eating the fries. Trump's like, make America great. Smacks the horse on the ass. Goes tearing off. All the Amish go vote for Trump. Philadelphia, they shut the power off in Philadelphia. They just shut it all down. Philadelphia just gives up. They just give up. The Amish take over all of Pennsylvania. Amish governor, an entire Amish Secretary of State, only in person voting on ballots, but it's not just paper ballots, it's stone ballots because the Amish are doing it. You have to have a hammer and chisel, and you have to carve out your vote for Trump because the Amish are running it now. No cheating there. Yep, it's incredible. And it all starts because Donald Trump does the fries at a Pennsylvania McDonald's. That's the country that I want to live in. That's the country I want to live in. It's amazing. They just give up. They just give up. It'll be glorious. I'm so excited about it. Our verse of the day, ladies and gentlemen. Hopefully the Amish approve of this verse of the day. Proverbs 1:7. The fear of the Lord is the beginning of knowledge. Stubborn fools despise wisdom and discipline. I've been a stubborn fool in my life. Have you? I certainly have. This is something that is needed by all of us. Wisdom, discipline. We do the show every single day. We do the show when we evacuated. We try our very best to deliver truth and knowledge, and, like a laugh. Quite frankly, we need more of that. And we have some very big things planned. I know we've been saying it. We have some very big things planned. Some very exciting interviews. Some people that will be joining us live that we're very, very, very excited about. Talk about cooking, man. We've been cooking here. Maybe not in the fryer. Not as young as I used to be. But we have some special things for you ahead. Please consider. You're going to want to tune into these spaces. Consider our Benny on the Block and Benny Brews channels, where we do long form interviews and we do man on the street interviews. We will be going to Kamala Harris rally this weekend, so hopefully not arrested. We come in peace. Okay. Kamala Harris says, "Do not come. Do not come." I'm going to come in peace. All right. And we are going to go there, and we're going to have some fun. You're going to see that on the Benny on the Block channel. That's going to be a riot, and we're going to go. We're going to go to the Madison Square Garden, Donald Trump. We're already set to go to Madison Square Garden, Donald Trump. Vivek Ramaswamy, Times Square, doing it live. It's going to be really fun. It's going to be great. We got some fries in the fryer. We're cooking too. So please tune in. We love you all. We thank you all. It's been a rough week, quite frankly, in Tampa, and it's still rough going. We got team members out right now that have to evacuate. We have team members out right now. Prayers up for Eric, who's helping out his family after some real wreckage of the hurricane. So prayers up. But boys, we're gonna win. Okay, we march on. We stand upright. All right, be upstanding. March forward, onward to victory. Can't defeat an army of happy warriors. So here we go. It's your boy Betty. See ya.
What the hell are you doing? I'm kicking my ass! Do you mind?
There's a lot I could say, but I don't know if it matters now. You always did everything the way you wanted it.
So, where the truth gon' be?
Faith and freedom on your TV screen. Stand up strong, battle through the night. The Benny Show's here, bringing liberty to light. From the speeches to debates, Benny sharp like a blade, cutting through the lies, watch the truth cascade. With the warrior's heart, this man never fades. You know it's prime time when Benny invades. From saving the nation to stories untold, the Benny Show's a storm, see the truth unfold. Stay in the loop, let freedom take hold. Salting all the libs, soul never sold. It's the Benny Show, where the truth gon' be. Faith and freedom on your TV screen. Stand up strong, battle through the night. The Benny Show's here, bringing liberty to light. Liberty to light. Bringing liberty to light. Liberty to light. Bringing liberty to light. From the speeches to debates, Benny sharp like a blade, cutting through the lies, watch the truth cascade. With the warrior's heart, this man never fades. You know it's prime time when Benny invades. From saving the nation to stories untold, the Benny Show's a storm, see the truth unfold. Stay in the loop, let freedom take hold. Salting all the libs, soul never sold. It's the Benny Show, where the truth gon' be. Faith and freedom on your TV screen. Stand up strong, battle through the night. The Benny Show's here, bringing liberty to light. Bringing liberty to light. Bringing liberty to light. Bringing liberty to light. Bringing liberty to light.